for some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone. Well, I have a couple of things to add to your never bucket list. A 2-day migraine over 4th of July weekend, along with, your HOA's inability to schedule quiet time. So had a migraine on 4th of July that went into Saturday, and my HOA decided to have objectively a very good band jam for 5 hours, and I have never been so sick with a migraine that I've actually gotten sick. But yeah, yesterday I am now drinking regular Sprite. I think we have a peace accordance that has been arranged between my digestive tract, my head, which is no longer trying to escape out of my left eye, but I'm still dead. I put on just enough makeup to look slightly living, and that's about all I could do. I was gonna dry my hair. I was gonna do no, and I have to pick out my room color today. So good morning to everyone. I hope you had a better 4th than I did. Although I will say objectively, as much as I joke about it, the HOA's band was really good. I wish and they did some Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. And now Jackson may be my favorite song of those two. And to like the song, but then be running to the restroom and barely making it because the music is just too loud and too everything is a bit overwhelming. If you do deal with migraines, my goodness, you guys are my rock stars, because holy fazolies, that was, and I deal with chronic pain, but I was like, that is way too much. Well, if you guys have been living under a rock, you do know that, or if you haven't been, then you shouldn't be living under a rock. Oh, I put up the wrong screen. 1 second. As I said, I'm only barely getting back on this. Back alive. Texas has experienced just devastating floods. I have friends from Caryville or Kerrville, depending on how you pronounce it and if you're a native. And one of the saddest stories that has been coming out of the developing, flood has been this Camp Mystic, girls camp, who looks like they have lost and are still missing campers after these devastating floods. CNN anchor Pam Brown, who attended Camp Mystic as a kid, was overwhelmed with emotion as she returned to cover the Texas floods. Now, CNN reporter shared on air how surreal it had been to cover the devastation of, these floods at the magical place like Camp Mystic after attending the camp herself as a young girl. Pamela Brown, CNN's chief investigative correspondent, shared her, fond memories of the camps that were ravaged by Friday's floods during a live broadcast in an off the cuff but emotional sort of reaction. It's surreal coming back here 30 years later. I was a 10-year-old little camper here, filled with so much joy and hope, Brown said during a discussion with the anchors. I remember the excitement and anticipation of coming to Camp Mystic. She explained how it was hard to wrap her head around, a river that was a source of fond memories for her and for former campers, becoming the source of such unspeakable tragedy. It's such a magical place. Now, all these girls, those sweet young campers who had to evacuate, and their families, so much innocence is being lost. Now, Brown, among the press corps around the country, have descended upon Texas hill country after a once-in-a-generation catastrophic flood devastated the area Friday. And to put in perspective how much rain they got within a few hours what this general area gets in a month to 2 months of rain. Now, Camp Mystic is a historic all-girl Christian camp that catered to Texas's elite. So, yeah, it's probably not, for, kids like me when I was going to like the Y camp with help for single moms. It's not going to be that camp. But I can understand how, regardless of where you come from or who you come from, childhood is an age of innocence. Now, at least 3 girls from the camp have been confirmed to have been killed. 8, all between the ages of 8 and 9, while 10 others are still missing. And y'all, I don't want to have to bring this up, but I name and shame. And it just, we can't have something happen without demons. And I'm not saying she's a demon because of what she looks like, who she looks like, or how she votes. This is demonic thought. If you see a tragedy going on in your thing, and the first thing you have to do is to make sure that people know that it's only about, certain color people being affected or not. Now, I mean, this woman, I'm not even going to read what she wrote. You guys can check that out. But when your first thought is to see a human tragedy and then, want to put your 2 cents hot take out of that, I will never understand how you have to, again, in a tragic moment, bring out your little personal, grievances and gripes. I will never understand. But that's about all I'm going to give this woman. She just had to, let the ugly in her heart show. So it's a camp for the well-to-do. I don't give 2 rats rah-rahs. I'd feel just as upset if it were, the camp that I used to go to. So how about you take demonic out your name, okay? And maybe think about what, Jesus, if you're a good Christian person, would have thought when he saw someone hurt. Now, again, yes, it's for privilege, but there are still 10 girls that are missing, and I don't really care until we find them about your hot take, madam. Now, the death toll from Friday morning's flooding has risen to at least 80 in Texas. 68 of the deaths were in Kerr County, where Camp Mystic's 2 campuses once stood. So again, keep people in Texas in your thoughts and prayers. I can't imagine not knowing where my child is. Oh, and I'm sorry, Audio Coffee. I will say that I've never had one that bad, and I will never want one again that bad. Well, in things that, are we kind of not, I'm not shocked anymore by this. I'm shocked that we're getting to hear about it, to be honest with you, but I'm not shocked about this. Well, if we didn't have reasons to fear the CIA, apparently a shadowy CIA operative interacted with Lee Harvey Oswald just months before JFK's assassination. Well, I don't know. This kind of seems like new reporting on old news here at 11. A shadowy CIA operative specializing in psychological warfare interacted with Lee Harvey Oswald just ahead of President John F. Kennedy's assassination and then ran interference against the congressional investigators probing whether the U.S. spy agency was in any way connected to the killing. Again, it's like we finally admit what we did. CIA officer George Giannakidis assumed that the alias Howard Glubler, or assumed the alias Howard Gleber in January 1963 and led an American effort to infiltrate anti-communism Cuban students groups in the year leading up to JFK's death. Now, this is according to government documents that were released Thursday and reviewed by Axios. Now, Oswald, 23 at the time, got into a fight with members of one of the student groups, the DRE, an organization vehemently opposed to dictator Fidel Castro's rule in Cuba, while he was handing out pro-communist leaflets in New Orleans 4 months before JFK's assassination. I mean, CIA stuff's gonna, well, CIA's gonna CIA. Now, that fight publicly exposed Oswald as a Castro sympathizer. The news outlets covering the hearing that followed and soon-to-be killer later debating DRE members on local television broadcasts, according to Axios. A year before that exposure, the Pentagon was looking for excuses to attack Cuba, including plotting a false flag known as as Operation Northwoods, which drew up a fake assault on the U.S. that would be blamed on the communist nation. Now, the CIA Hubert was in charge of all aspects of political action and psychological warfare at the Miami CIA office that funded DRE when it encountered Oswald. And the name of the shadowy operative, Howard, who worked with groups, has circulated in JFK assassination conspiracy theories and investigations for years. But Thursday's disclosure, the CIA has always maintained that Howard was not one of theirs. Like, we don't know him. He's Regina George. We have no idea. Well, even Giannakidis, denied it was him point blank until the day that he died in 1990 after earning a career intelligence medal, career lying medal. Now, he was assigned as the CIA's liaison with the House Select Committee on Assassinations, and it probed the president's murder in 1976 and ultimately lied about being or knowing anything about Howard and sort of CIA connections when he was on this. Now, he assured the committee that they would find no record of any officer or any CIA links to DRE, but he said he would keep looking. The House Committee's chief counsel, Robert Blakely, testified in 2014. A former investigator with the committee, Dan Hardway, testified in June that he had been behind a covert operation to throw Congress off the CIA's trail. The cover story for him is officially dead. Author and JFK assassination expert Jefferson Morley told Axios, "This is a big deal. The CIA is changing its tune on Lee Harvey Oswald." Now, Thursday's release is just the latest trove of information to emerge as the government works through massive amounts of information that it has held back and its mandated disclosure on its files related to JFK's killing. Now, in 1992, the Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act decreed that all files would be released by 2017, but by 2018, were still at least tens of thousands of documents being withheld. Now, President Biden released more in 2022, and in March, President Trump released another trove. Previous releases have indicated that the CIA knew much more about Oswald than they told the public after the shooting. with documents disclosing in March that 3 top CIA officials lied to investigators about their knowledge of the assassination beforehand. Now, the files on Jokaitis don't indicate why the CIA lied about his involvement in the DRE. Again, I doubt that we're going to get the full story on this, even if they release all of the unredacted, papers on this. But I do like to see the at least thought that we might be, turning towards transparency. That would be helpful. Well, I wasn't in the market for a BBL, but apparently there are some side effects, a stinky side effect, if you will, of a BBL. I just thought they made your butt look bigger. I guess, ew. Who wouldn't want a bigger, stinkier behind? The Brazilian butt lift is a surgery that is supposed to enhance the size and shape of someone's rear end through fat transfer, but is often considered a dangerous procedure by experts since there is a possibility of death, infection, and more in all of them. Now, not only is the BBL, a risk, there is one bizarre, rather gross side effect that comes from it that many potential, patients might not know until it's done. The BBL smell is real, said Dr. Eric Anderson from a Chicago-based Impressions Face and Body. It is your buttular area. This unexpected side effect is often described as a musty or sour smell. You spend all this new money on your butt and it smells like a butt. Now, a team of experts said that the smell is often expected for BBL patients after sweating or sitting for long periods of time. While there are a variety of other factors, such as tissue death, which is a BBL complication, and unhygienic habits, that could make someone with a BBL more smelly, this apparently just seems to be one of them side effects. Now, if a patient was overfilled with fat during the procedure, the fat can die, which is basically your smell and decomp. As a result, a rancid smell can develop. When there's more fat in the area than the blood supply can allow, the fat will die, and it's a smelly process called fat necrosis, which can lead to infections that need antibiotics, hospitalizations, or even cause sepsis. Now, in other more obvious cases, it's that the BBL patients might struggle to clean their new derrieres. If a patient can't quite navigate that bigger, more, deep crack, you can get, leftover stuff that will cause a stinky smell. Now, hospitals recommend that people with a BBL use gentle, fragrance-free wipes or a bidet to properly... Look, no. As much as I would like my behind not to look, Midwest SpongeBob SquarePants, no. I don't, I'll go do a squat or two. Now, many potential risks come with getting a BBL, and several women have lost their lives because of sort of these backwater or destination cosmetics countries that may not have the same sort of, medical rigorous standards for like your medical kind of cosmetic surgeries. So I'm going to say leave your butt the way God intended it. But there you go. If you'd like to smell, can you imagine it? You spend all that money on a new butt and it still smells like ass. I know that shouldn't be funny, but I think it's hilarious. I'm just too dehydrated and worn out to laugh. At least some positive, positive information that science is giving us it does look like there might be a way to easily rid our body of forever chemicals. If you guys have switched over to, tumblers, you're not drinking or trying not to use single-use plastics and things like that. It looks like we might be able to, get some of these forever chemicals out of our body. P or PFASs, or synthetic substances that can persist in the environment or human body and have been likened to slow poisons, may increase risks of certain cancers, fertility problems, liver damages, and other developmental delays. For a long time, researchers have, known about these so-called forever chemicals, formerly known as peri and polyfluoroalkyl substances. Interesting. So they have long been aware of this, but now UK scientists say they might have identified a family of gut microbes that can absorb these dangerous molecules in mice and remove them from their body. We found that a certain species of human gut bacteria may have a remarkably high capacity to soak up these forever chemicals from their environments at a range of concentrations and then store these clumps inside their own cells, said senior study author Kiran Pati from the University of Cambridge's MRC Toxicology Unit. Interesting. Now, due to the aggregation of PFASs in these clumps, the bacteria themselves seem protected from the toxic effects. So when his team was able to introduce 9 of these bacterial species into the guts of mice, the bacteria collected the forever chemicals that the mice had eaten within minutes. Now, the mice then pooped out those forever chemicals. So the bacteria species gathered between 25 to 74% of the toxins, no matter how much of the chemicals the mice had ingested. Now, these findings were published Tuesday in the Journal of Nature Microbiology, and researchers, still need to test to see if this bacteria would work the same way in humans, if they would see similar results, and they even plan to develop probiotic supplements to boost levels of these helpful microbes into the gut if they are shown to work. So awesome, awesome. Now, in a separate study published earlier this year, there are certain types of fiber, such as beta-glucan in oats, that can bind to these forever chemicals in the digestive system as well, and potentially flush them from the body. As research continues on these forever chemicals, the study authors recommend reducing exposure by avoiding, cooking pans, using good filtered water. The reality is that these forever chemicals are already in the environment and in our bodies, and we need to try to mitigate their impact on our health now. So these are the things that generally have all of these. Oh, well, good. I'm only doing one of these today. So paint, and I'll just be picking out the paint color. Stain resistance. Oh, cosmetics. Well, I do those. Photography, sort of, but I don't. Stain resistant furniture. Okay, y'all, there are some things I'm willing to deal with. I would like to have a couch that looks nice. Now, despite the sort of good look at these, maybe oat and the microbes, scientists are cautioning that they haven't found a way to destroy these forever chemicals, but the findings open up possibilities for ways of getting them at least out of our bodies. Now, there are over 4,700 different individual forever chemicals, which are used to make things like items resistant to water, grease, and stains. But they can also be found in food packaging, cookware, waterproof clothing, firefighting foam, and even some, personal care products like lipstick. So there you go. I mean, hey, I would like to get all chemicals except for, sucralose out of my system. And yes, we have, for the first time ever, a Wicked Monday Well, a wicked women meet Lord Chippy Monday. I don't think this has happened, mostly because I never planned it this way. But we have three ladies to meet Lord Chippy. Usually this doesn't happen. Usually it's a bit of a sausage party. But us ladies can be evil too.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Well, the lady who accidentally, on purposely, may have fed her family fatal mushrooms, well, it seems like she's been convicted on each and every single part of that crime. So, hailing from Sydney, Australia, an Australian woman was on Monday convicted of murdering three elderly relatives of her estranged husband with a meal laced with poisonous mushrooms and attempting to murder a fourth in a case that gripped the nation. After a week of deliberation, the jury found Erin Patterson lured her mother-in-law, Gail Patterson, father-in-law, Donald Patterson, and Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, to a lunch at her home and poisoned them with individualized servings of beef Wellington that contained death cap mushrooms. Now, they also found the 50-year-old guilty of an attempted murder of Ian Wilkinson's husband, or Ian Wilkinson, Heather's husband, who survived the 2023 meal at Erin's home in Lingatha, a town of about 6,000 people, about 135 kilometers or 84 miles southeast of Melbourne. Now, Patterson pled not guilty to all four charges, saying that the deaths were totally an accident. The mother of two will later be sentenced and faces maximum of a life sentence, which she can appeal against the verdict. Now, Colin Mandy, her defense attorney and one of Melbourne's top criminal barristers, made no comment after he left the court through a scrum of journalists. Jessica Donahue, a spokesperson for Patterson's estranged husband, Simon Patterson, and his siblings, also declined to comment. Now, Dean Thomas, a detective with the Victoria Police, thanked investigators for their work on the case. We think it's very important that we remember that 3 people have died, and we've had a person who nearly died and was seriously injured, he said in a brief statement outside of the court. Now, the families of the victims had requested privacy and would not be making a statement. The trial lasted 10 weeks in Morwell, a former coal mining town around 2 hours east of Melbourne, and attract global interest, with local and international media descending on Court 4 at Latrobe Valley Magistrates Court, where Patterson had requested the case be heard. Public broadcaster ABC's Daily Policy, or daily kind of leading up and podcast on the proceedings, was consistently among the most popular in Australia's during the trial, while several documentaries on the case are already in production. Now, the prosecution, led by barrister Nanette Rogers, told the court that Patterson had employed 4 major deceptions in order to murder her guests. First, she fabricated a cancer diagnosis to lure guests to the lunch, then poisoned her meals while serving herself an untainted portion, Rogers told the court. Patterson then lied that she was also sick from the food to avoid suspicion before finally embarking on a cover-up when police began investigating the deaths, attempting to destroy evidence and lying to investigating officers, the prosecution said. Patterson, who said during the trial she had inherited large sums of money from her mother and grandmother, retained a 4-person legal team led by Mandy. She was the only witness in her defense and spent 8 days on stand, including 5 days of cross-examination. Now, Patterson told the court about a lifelong struggle with her weight, an eating disorder, and low self-esteem. Yeah, but usually if you have low self-esteem, you want to hurt yourself, not others. And frequently becoming emotional as she spoke about the impact of the lunch on the Patterson family and her 2 children. She lied about having cancer to her guests because she was embarrassed to admit that she was actually having weight loss surgery, Patterson told the court. She wanted her relatives' advice on how to tell her children about the surgery. Patterson told the court she had not become ill as her guest because she secretly binged on a cake that her mother-in-law had brought to the lunch, then made herself sick. Now, a jury of 7 men and 5 women retired on June 30th to consider the evidence. Justice Christopher Beekle gave the jury the special dispensation to avoid jury duty for the next 15 years due to both the length and complexity of this particular case. So just absolutely not good. And goodness, Squid, I am so sorry. That just sucks all out loud. In our next one, because why? And again, I don't know what has happened in your life that makes you think that this is a good idea, but let me assure you that the rest of us don't think this is a good idea. A woman used bug foggers to smoke out a family, including a 4-year-old child, from an apartment in order to evict them. Do what now? Yeah, this is called all the abuse and all of the attempted murder. A Tennessee woman is accused of taking the eviction process into her own hands when she wanted a family removed from her apartment. Irviana Davis, 23, is facing 2 counts each of felony child abuse and misdemeanor, court records show. Now, she remains in the Davidson County Jail in Nashville on $37,000 bond as of Sunday evening. Now, according to an arrest warrant obtained by local Fox affiliate WZTV, Davis was trying to evict a family, including a 4-year-old child, from her Nashville area apartment, but they wouldn't leave. Now, she did try to have police intervene, but they referred her to the civil eviction process, the warrant purportedly said. But instead of following this formal process, she thought she could do it better. She went to the store and bought several bug foggers. Now, she then on Wednesday reportedly placed between 5 to 16 of these foggers next to where the family lived while the family was still inside. Now, per the warrant, the child started coughing and having a hard time breathing, while other people had to be taken to the hospital for treatment. Now, the Environmental Protection Agency says that no one should be inside a house or apartment after a fogger is released. People should stay out of the home for at least 2 to 4 hours. The EPA even stated that one bug fogger is typically sufficient for a 25 by 25 room. So yeah, you don't need 16. Breathing spray mist may be harmful. Safe use of these products require that everyone, including pets, leave the treated space and close the doors after the foggers have been released. Now, cops arrested Davis on Thursday, and her next court date is scheduled for Monday. She does not currently have a lawyer. I can imagine that any, defense attorney is going to be thinking, hell to the effing no. And this, the final one, most deserving of Lord Chippy's wrath, in my opinion, but y'all are free to choose your own, or your own most wicked women. Maybe they won't remember. A mother gets 20 years, but most of her sentence will be under house arrest for abusing her 18-month children. Great job, legal system. Let's not put her in jail. Let's leave her with the people she abused. That's sarcasm. An Alabama woman will spend just 1 year, behind bars, after receiving steep punishment for abuse against her children late last month. Now, on May 29th, Samantha Woods, 23, was convicted on 2 counts of willful abuse of a child. On June 25th, she was sentenced to 2 sentences of 10 years each to be served consecutively, the Jackson County District Attorney's Office announced this week. Now, almost all of her sentence, however, will be under house arrest. The defendant only made her way onto law enforcement's radar after a domestic incident that led to an investigation. Now, investigators determined that 2 18-month-old children at the residence in Scottsboro, a small town located 40 miles east of Huntsville, had been exposed to abuse to the point that they needed medical attention. Now, while details of the precise, abuse that the victims went through are scarce, attention has been focused on their exceedingly young ages. Now, prosecution rubbished such talks in comments to Jackson County Sentinel following her conviction. The children's ages have been talked about like it's a good thing, like it's better to, have this abuse and neglect happen to babies because maybe they won't remember. Jackson County Assistant District Attorney Christina Jackson told the paper. The truth is we have no idea the damage that has been done. From now on, we'll never know. When those children are put to bed at night, are they going to know that the moment that they are in now, they are safe and loved? Or will they remember what it's like to be left dirty, alone, and scared? While the underlying DV was between Woods and her partner, the neighbor who called the police, is glad that these children were lifted out of this on that fateful day. In court, Jackson County Circuit Judge Brent Brenson made hay of that turn of event. Thank God for nosy neighbors, the judge reportedly said. I'm convinced that if it hadn't been for those neighbors that heard your domestic and called the police, I don't know what would have happened to your children. I'm convinced your children wouldn't have gotten helped. I don't know what 18-month-old children remember. Maybe one day they'll remember what a nosy neighbor did that saved their lives. I don't know. Once the since-condemned woman serves her time in state prison, she will be subject to 5 years of supervised probation, the court ruled. She will also have to complete parenting classes. This conviction sends a clear message that, mistreatment of children will not be tolerated in Jackson County. No, you're letting her off to go be in her children's lives. So I don't care. I don't know whose political speech stomp tour this is, but y'all did jack diddly crap. You did the bare minimum to protect these children. And now they are going to be with a woman who is pissed off and confined to her home. Sure, this is a great idea. Jem, I'm with you. And y'all, I don't know if I need to go buy a lotto ticket, but there were 2 lion stories today. Now, I don't know why one would have a pet lion, but I guess the rules are different in Pakistan, so there you go. Owners of a pet lion arrested after it jumped a wall and attacked a woman and 2 children in Pakistan. I mean, that's not something you see every day. The owners of a pet lion that jumped a wall attacked a woman and 2 children in Pakistani city of Lahore have been arrested. Now, the woman and her 2 children, aged 5 and 7, were taken to the hospital after being attacked in an alleyway when the lion escaped from a farmhouse in the neighborhood of Yahan Town on Thursday. Security camera footage released by the police shows a lion leaping over a concrete wall and pouncing on a woman from behind, knocking her to the ground. Now, men can be seen running out of the property the lion escaped from with an object in the hand and chasing the lion away from the woman before the wildcat takes off further down the road where the children were also attacked. They sustained injuries to both their faces and arms, but are in stable condition. Now, Lahore police said in a video posted to social media that the lion had escaped from an open cage at the farmhouse where it had been recaptured by its owners, who promptly put it in a vehicle and went into hiding in another district. Muhammad Faizel Kamran, Deputy Inspector General of the Lahore Police, said that 3 people were arrested on Friday morning. We've also captured the lion and transferred it to the wildlife authorities. Now, Lahore police shared an image of the 3 men in police call and video about the lion in a cage. Local media reported that the owner did not have a license to keep the lion and would be prosecuted under the Wildlife Act, meaning that they could face a maximum prison term of 7 years or a fine equating $17,500. Now, CNN has sought confirmation from the Punjab Wildlife and Parks Department. Now, owning wild cats as pets can be seen as somewhat of a status symbol in Pakistan, but is not common and requires a license. And large cats must be kept outside city limits. This unfortunate incident highlights how wild animals are often kept in such places without license, permission, or legal procedures followed, endangering the lives of many people. The Punjab government announced Sunday that it was undertaking a province-wide crackdown on those keeping lions without a license. You got a license for that lion? I didn't think so. The BBC commands you to take it back to Paddington Square. Just can't imagine why you would want to have a pet lion. I mean, if Siegfried and Roy can't keep their lions from attacking them, I'm going to stand absolutely not one daggone step. But I also don't want a lion. In our second lion story, because apparently they're plentiful this morning, unfortunately, a woman lost her arm in a lion attack at an Australian zoo. Okay, please don't have been dumb enough to try to get into the lion's enclosure. Okay, a woman has lost her arm after being attacked by a lion at Queensland's Darling Down Zoo over the weekend. Now, the unidentified woman was attacked Sunday morning and was airlifted to Princess Alexandra Hospital in Brisbane, where she underwent surgery. Now, Queensland Health Minister Tim Nichols said that the victim lost her arm but was recovering well. Now, the zoo said that the attack happened around 8:30 a.m. local time Sunday. Now, it identified the woman in a statement as a much-loved member of our family who was well-versed in safety protocols and, potential things to look out for when being around dangerous animals. Now, dangerous animals are dangerous animals, and you can be the best guard or, zoologist or, I don't know, lionologist, but all it takes is that one time of inattention or, kind of just not being fully aware of your surroundings for them to take advantage, and they are wild. So I'm glad that she's doing okay, but you won't see me messing with lions. That's just, no. Now, if you've been needing some heat with your meat, a little spice in your life, McDonald's is bringing the heat, y'all. Now, considering I can't stand anything spicy, since I've gotten CRPS, this is lost on me, but hey, somebody better be enjoying the heck out of new, spicy sauces. It's not often that McDonald's releases a new variation on its famous breakfast sandwiches, but starting July 8th, you'll be able to order 2 of its McMuffin sandwiches with some spice. That's right, the burger joint is releasing a spicy version of the Egg McMuffin and Sausage McMuffin, including the one with the egg. for a limited time only. Now, the spice will come in the form of McDonald's spicy pepper sauce, which already graces the daytime menu on the spicy McCrispy sandwich. Now, the spicy pepper sauce is a mayo-based one that gets its kick from habanero peppers, so it really does pack a punch. And, you know, people say it's pretty good. Pretty good. Now, I'm not a spiceologist, so I'm going to tell you they'd be way too spicy for me. Now, McDonald's has been working on the spicy angle for years with releases like Spicy McNuggets and limited time sauces like Nether Flames, which is genuinely spicy for fast food. So there you go. You can get, you know, McMuffins that are spicy. Personally, I don't like eggs, so y'all have at 'em. I mean, but there you go. Spicy stuff is on its way back. Now, y'all, I took one look at this, and I don't know if every single one of the people who had looked at this before was just a man, but I was like, the wallet's right here. That being said, one frustrated homeowner was missing his wallet for days and could barely find it thanks to a, well, optical illusion in his bathroom. That being said, I picked out the wallet right away. I thought it was one of those where they were trying to trick me. Like, no, he really has like a leopard print thing. But I was like, no, it's right here. It can be incredibly frustrating to misplace everyday necessities like your phone, wallet, or, you know, your keys. But it's even worse to lose something that you spend days looking for when it was under your nose the entire time. Well, that's what happened to one person who misplaced their wallet and apparently spent a full 2 days looking for it. In the mildly infuriating subreddit Reddit on Reddit, a person outlined their relative, you know, or outed their relative by sharing how they had searched for their, you know, wallet for longer than anyone would care to admit. And it turns out that the MIA wallet was on the bathroom floor the entire time. A place where the confused person probably walked in and out of countless times during those 2 days. In the person's defense, I mean, okay, maybe I'm just being too mean because they actually have to point it out to you, but this is not on center. I'm just saying I noticed it. That being said, I mean, I live in a family where no one can find anything, so it must be my UPS, uterus positioning, you know, powers that does. Also, yeah, who puts their wallet in their bathroom? And in this person's defense, looking at the scene where the wallet lay for 48 hours, at first glance, you might be, you know, a little confused as to where it went, too. It managed to land perfectly on top and aligned on one of the tiles of the same color in the bathroom. Talk about optical illusion, or just having eyeballs. Spire, I think it's a man thing, because I swear this article's like, how was it ever found? And I'm over here like, it's right there, right over. I mean, now the relative must have been losing their mind, looking high and low for their, you know, wallet, and probably went in and out of that bathroom too many times to count. Of course, Reddit had a field day with this story, as the thread filled with almost 500 comments of various opinions from people. Some who empathized with the relative that they really did not figure out that that was a wallet, to people who are like, was your wife not available? It took me a minute to find it, but damn, that's crazy how it landed. Other Hawkeye users found it immediately. I found it in about 4 seconds. Sorry, original poster. That's a perfectly mildly infuriating placement for a black wallet. Did you not take a ish for 2 days? Literally, it's right there. I went right to the floor. My God, I would have been so mad at myself. Since losing a wallet is more common than people would care to admit, one good Samaritan devised a genius plan to prevent the lost item from getting into the wrong hands. The person supposedly left a note advertising they'd found the lost wallet, and in order for the rightful owner to get it back, they would have to solve a Da Vinci Code-like equation. I left a note in a way that only the real owner could contact me, declared the person in the now viral Reddit post. The only way a person could retrieve the wallet if they could solve for the equation, which involved putting their birthday alongside another code in order to figure out the Good Samaritan's phone number so they could call and be reunited with their personal item. I mean, that seems like a whole lot of energy. Well, I mean, sometimes we get good news on a Monday, and I, for one, doggone it, if you could it's like the world is healing itself. Nature is reviving. Josh Duggar is going to stay in prison. I'm ready for that one. Josh Duggar reportedly is facing more time in jail after a prison shakeup. I mean, I'll be okay with that. Former 19 Kids and Counting star Josh Duggar's prison sentence has reportedly been extended by 2 months, and he's being moved out of his dormitory-style housing for a different section of the detention facility where he's currently being housed. Now, the former reality star was scheduled for release in October 2032, but that date has now been pushed back to December. The U.S. Sun reports that the former reality television star is facing even more time at Seagoville Detention Center in Dallas, Texas. Now, Josh had initially had a release date of October 2nd, 2032, but this date has been pushed back to December. Now, this is reportedly the second time that his release has been postponed. He was originally supposed to be set free in August 12th, 2032. Now, the first came after he was found with a cell phone in February of 2023. Now, prisoners are not allowed to have cell phones. Oh, I guess, Josh, you're still not understanding that rules are for you too. Okay. Now, he was sent to the SHU, known as solitary confinement, for breaking rules, and further time was added to his sentence. The Sun reports that Duggar has since been moved out of the remodeled honors dorm, where he was housed with other inmates that had access to special privileges as a washer, dryer, and microwave. Now, the outlet didn't report the reasons why he was moved out of this facility. The U.S. Sun quoted a prison insider who alleged that Duggar's postponed release date could be due to disciplinary action. But, no further actual details have been provided. And I say keep him in there. He always struck me as creepy, and I'm okay if he just stays in there. With all the things that he has done, with all the grossness of children that he has looked at, and all of the holier than thou he used to babble, I'm kind of okay with with him staying in prison for longer. But it is the kind of weird things that warms the cockles of my soul on a Monday. And because we need some good stories to remind us that yes, heroes actually do come in all, walks of life, and usually they're out there doing the scary things. A New Jersey native who was on his first rescue mission with the Coast Guard has helped at least 165 Texas flood victims. A Coast Guard rescue swimmer is already being hailed as an American hero after his very first mission, helping to save the lives of at least 165 Texans in this flash flood. What is this all about? Or this is what it's all about, right? Like, this is why we do the job, said Scott Ruskin, 26, a New Jersey native and former KPMG accountant, to the Post after his work in Central Texas. This is why we take those risks all the time. This is why, like, Coast Guard men and women are risking their days or their lives every day, said Petty Officer Ruskin, who is in charge of triage at Camp Mystic, the Christian girls' camp that saw some of the worst of the flooding. Raised in Oxford, New Jersey, Ruskin enlisted in the U.S. Coast Guard in 2021 after completing basic training and going to the Aviation Survival Technician School in Petaluma, California, before being stationed in Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, he had been on call since November after completing all of his training, familiarizing himself with the Coast Guard's iconic MH-65 helicopter and enrolling in additional rescue swimming classes as he waited to call into action. Now, that faithful call came on the 4th of July weekend as a massive summer rainstorm led to catastrophic flash flooding in the Lone Star State that has so far claimed about 80 lives. So thank you, sir, for, going in when other people are racing out, for saving people. And parents, take a round of applause for yourself. You raised a good boy who is doing stuff for his community, for people who have never even met him. So take a little clap, mom and dad. That's a little bit outside of our area of operation normally, but people were in danger and were a good asset to try to help people out. These guys were asking for help, so that's what we do, Ruskin said. Now at 7 a.m., crews flew a loaded Black Hawk 60 and Coast Guard MH-65 chopper to the sky. We're literally the best air crew we could have had. Their destination was Camp Mystic, just off the banks of the Guadalupe River, which had seen some of the worst flooding. Now, 5 campers between the ages of 8 and 9 have been confirmed dead, with counselors and 11 more girls of varying ages still missing. When the crews arrived, they were racing against sundown to try to rescue as many stranded flood victims as possible. All roads were impassable and the currents were too strong for any boats to get in, leaving helicopter evacuation as the only hope for nearly 200 survivors. As the crew evaluated all operational logistics, their goal was to move as many people out of harm's way as possible, but they were bound by weight limits of the helicopters. They decided to leave Ruskin on the ground to triage the rescue mission. I was like, sweet, sounds great. I'll be more helpful on the ground than I will be in the air right now. So that's kind of what we went with. Now, the rescuers loaded the first 4 to 5 survivors in the MH-65. But just a really good, thing. Again, we have these people, and I hope we don't take it for granted that we have people that run into danger, run into the scary parts to save people when, everyone is running away. And if you want to be a little bougie this week, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, honestly, I don't know why would anyone buy a muskmelon for this much, but if you would like to drop, $130 on a melon, you better get to moving, because I think they only have 3 of them left. Although why you would buy, again, I don't understand it, but I don't understand a lot of things. Japanese crown melons are known throughout the agricultural world as the king of fruits, and Asian supermarket H Mart's Upper West Side location is running a special on them. Only $130, marked down from $180. Well, and hurry because apparently they only have 4 of them left. Now, musk melons, otherwise known as the Shizuoka crown melon, as it's grown in the western part of Shizuoka Prefecture, come in packaged in a sleek black gift box with gold lettering, and inside the market they're kept in lucite. Why? Now, the big money melons are renowned for unparalleled sweetness, subtle flavor, and silky texture. I mean, and it practically melts in your mouth. Now, that's some of the priciest produce in the Big Apple. Each crown boasts a T-shaped stem, which verified the melon's one tree, one fruit growing method. One melon is allowed to grow on the vine, concentrating all of the plant's nutrients into one single fruit. They also require the almost constant attention of the, I guess, farmer. Temperature and humidity in the air, along with the amount that the melon is watered, are all exacting. And before they can receive the crown seal of approval, each and every melon must pass a specific flavor, sugar content, and appearance standard. I mean, this has more standards than my high school. A high source of potassium and vitamins A and C, the luxury fruit begins to ripen once it's harvested and should be kept at room temperature until snack time. Even then, you need to refrigerate the melon for 2 to 3 hours before consuming. Now, on average, they're about 3.3 pounds. I mean, y'all do what you want with $130. I'm just probably not going to be spending my next $133 at a musk or on a melon. Just not. I mean, no offense. Now, if you can't get to H Mart, these particular melons can be ordered through Ikegagi Fruits. Each of them is priced for $177 with delivery, and available for pre-order with next day delivery through Melissa's Produce, which charges around $159 without delivery. I don't know. I mean, I'm okay to say that I'm not sure that with my digestive system and me not being on speaking terms, whether I'm going to plonk down $130 for something to eat right now. But that's insane, y'all. Thank you guys so much for sharing your time with me. Let me see who I can send you off to. I should be back on the land of the living tomorrow. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So we will be back on the Petty Express. I am going to be sending you over to Baker. It looks like you guys are on Verdict Watch, and you guys are also watching the Brian Walshy hearings with some people we might remember, such as Buchanan. And, Buchanan is all that I can remember right now. That being said, have a wonderful day with Baker. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because I'm going to go help Mr. Mo. We're going to go get paint figured out so that he can work on my room, and I'll probably be in there in the next week or 2 weeks. So got to go pick my color now. I think I might just do this, because that's about how I feel today. But I think I am leaning more towards a light, very calming, relaxing purple. But we will see, because I think that right now, and I'll get in there and I'll realize, well, I like purple and I was almost sold on this color. So let's pick an opposite one just to confuse me. But that's a Mr. Mo problem for him. So I will send y'all later.